If there's one critique of the media from the right that I do agree with, is the moralizing nature. Like, there is no condescension and moralizing on Fox. It's people on a couch asking questions. Are you worried about how many terrorists are coming in on the border? Do you ever worry about that? Whereas if you turn on MSE, sometimes you're like, it's like birds descending, at sea on a tuna boat going, that's factually incorrect. Incorrect. Not correct. Incorrect. And you're just like, I can't listen to this.
You're all acting like the tariff regime is a tried and true remedy. Oh, of course, this is the medicine that's always prescribed. Except the last time it was tried 100 years ago, we had a Great Depression.
Jon Stewart just dropped a truth bomb, and this time, it landed squarely on MSNBC's front lawn. That's right. One of the most iconic political satirists of our time, a man who practically built his brand shredding Donald Trump into confetti, just turned his razor-sharp wit on liberal media itself. Specifically, MSNBC. And let's be real, that's not what anyone expected from Stewart. This is the guy many thought would never criticize his own side, let alone take a flamethrower to their coverage of Trump. But here we are. In a bold, unfiltered moment that's already gone viral, Stewart called out what many have whispered about for years, the relentless, obsessive way MSNBC covers Trump, day in, day out. It's like they just can't quit him. And Stewart? He's not having it. His takedown wasn't just sharp, it was surgical. He exposed the hypocrisy, the double standards, and the performative outrage, all while doing what he does best, making us laugh while making us think. This wasn't some throwaway jab. It was a calculated critique that struck a nerve and shook up the media echo chamber. So what exactly did he say? And why is it resonating with people across the political spectrum? We've got the full breakdown, and trust us, you're going to want to see every second of it. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss moments like this. Let's get into it.
First law of Trumpodynamics. Every action is met with a very not equal overreaction.
These pardons are sick. They are offensive. They are un-American.
This is one of the most egregious, despicable acts in American history.
This is textbook authoritarian takeover 101.
Knew I should have taken that class. And not majored in submissive liberal crying 101.
Trump derangement syndrome. It's real, and now it's gone full cartoon mode. The media obsession with Donald Trump has officially jumped the shark, and even liberal heavyweights like Jon Stewart are starting to say what many on the right have been shouting for years. Enough is enough. The lies, the fake outrage, the carefully scripted outrage cycles, they've turned into a grotesque theater of the absurd. And at the center of this madness? MSNBC. A network that seems less interested in journalism and more obsessed with turning every Trump moment into a made-for-TV meltdown. But here's where things get interesting. Jon Stewart, yes, that Jon Stewart, the longtime progressive icon, isn't playing along anymore. In a move that's both surprising and kind of thrilling, Stewart has started calling out the same media machine that once celebrated him. And he's not alone. A growing chorus of liberal voices is beginning to question the blind spots, the bias, and the sheer lack of intellectual honesty coming from their own side. This isn't about becoming pro-Trump. It's not about flipping political loyalties. It's about protecting the truth, no matter who's in the White House. Stewart, of all people, is becoming an unlikely voice of reason in a media landscape that's completely lost the plot. The message is clear. If you're still buying the outrage industrial complex, you're being played. And finally, some of the biggest names in media are calling it out. Let's break it all down.
You want to make America great again, you can't skimp on the details.
President Trump says he's going to reverse Joe Biden's mandate to phase out plastic straws, saying, enjoy your next drink without a straw that disgustingly dissolves in your mouth.
Okay, he's right on this one. He is right on this one. Those straws are f***ing terrible. objectively I'm supposed to have some weird tissue paper dissolve in my mouth just because turtles can't figure out straws aren't food? No. Don't eat the tubes, you stupid turtles. So Trump is making America great again by taking us back to 2016. But obviously, if we're going to make America great again, we can't stop in 2016. We got to keep pushing to that place when America was truly great.
This, right here, this is what I've been saying all along. Good luck finding straight-shooting journalism in today's media jungle, because let's face it, unbiased reporting is becoming extinct. The moment a Democrat steps into the Oval Office, the so-called watchdogs turn into lapdogs. Take President Biden's environmental policies, for example. Some of them are laughably ineffective. Others are just plain absurd. These are the kinds of policies that should be dissected, challenged, and roasted with the same intensity the media once reserved for Trump tweets. But do you hear that criticism coming from MSNBC? CNN? Any of the usual suspects? Crickets. You could walk into their studios holding a binder full of data showing every flaw in Biden's agenda, and they'd still spin it into some historic win for humanity. It's as if they've made a blood pact never to criticize their guy, no matter how ridiculous the policy. It's not journalism anymore, it's PR. A slick, scripted, teleprompter-driven campaign of narrative management dressed up as news, and people are finally starting to notice. We're watching the Fourth Estate collapse into a performance art piece. The media isn't holding power accountable, they're shielding it. And the public? They're waking up. They're tired of being told what to think. They're tired of one-sided coverage. They want truth, not tribalism, and the few voices willing to say it out loud, including Jon Stewart, are the ones cutting through the noise.
If there's one critique of the media from the right that I do agree with, is the moralizing nature. Like, there is no condescension and moralizing on Fox. It's people on a couch asking questions. Are you worried about how many terrorists are coming in on the border? Do you ever worry about that? Whereas if you turn on MSE, sometimes you're like, it's like birds descending, at sea on a tuna boat going, that's factually incorrect. Incorrect. Not correct. Incorrect. And you're just like, I can't listen to this.
MSNBC has made its mission loud and clear. From top to bottom, the network runs like an anti-Trump command center. Every single quote from Trump or his allies. Dissected. Every tweet, every soundbite, every half-glance, picked apart like it's a nuclear code. If Trump coughs in the wrong direction, it becomes a breaking news event. They fact-check his facial expressions, turn slips of the tongue into federal cases, and spin minor gaffes into threats to democracy itself. But here's the kicker. Where was all that journalistic fire when Biden was calling the shots? Suddenly, the fact-checking squads vanished. The same media that went DEFCON 1 over Trump's typos had nothing to say about Biden's gaffes, flip-flops, and broken campaign promises. Evolving policy, they called it. Strategic repositioning. Translation? A total rebranding of political failure as thoughtful nuance. Instead of grilling the administration with tough questions, MSNBC tossed Biden softballs and offered him a pre-approved narrative. It wasn't journalism. It was public relations in disguise. But the hypocrisy didn't stop there. When MSNBC even sniffs a potential Republican misstep, they don't just report it, they crank it up to 11. It's all systems go. Wall-to-wall coverage, dramatic headlines, endless panels, and moral outrage on tap. It's not reporting. It's a performance. A highly produced, ideologically scripted, ratings-chasing drama. And here's the truth. The double standard is glaring. It's not just unfair, it's corrosive. It destroys public trust and reveals where the media's real loyalties lie. But people are waking up. They're noticing the selective outrage, the narrative games, the doublespeak. And they're tuning out in droves, because if the truth only matters when it's convenient, it's not truth anymore, it's propaganda.
Inspiring words for us. Mr. President.
History is literally watching us now. So let's preserve this secret place for our time and forever, for the benefit of all humanity. Thank you very, very much.
this is how we should do the transfer of power. The winner moves into the White House and the incumbent just wanders off into the jungle so that his nutrients may be returned to the soil.
Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, two comedians who aren't afraid to swing at both sides of the political aisle, and right now, Stewart's aim is locked on President Biden. And honestly, that's exactly what true comedy is supposed to do. Speak the truth and slice through the noise, not act as a mouthpiece for one side. Stewart isn't here to play nice. He's not worried about offending partisans or walking on eggshells. He's not auditioning for applause from either camp. He calls it like he sees it, raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically sharp. That's what makes him stand out in a media landscape so saturated with echo chambers and safe takes. While most talking heads tiptoe around Biden's endless gaffes, whether he's rambling off script, misnaming people, or straight up zoning out, Stewart dives in, jokes blazing. And make no mistake, the woke media hates that. They'll twist themselves into knots trying to explain away Biden's slip-ups, spinning every mistake into some kind of strategic genius. It's absurd. Instead of holding the powerful accountable, they coddle them. But Stewart? He's not buying it. No spin. No sugarcoating. Just sharp insight wrapped in savage humor. Sure, he's gained fans and lost a few, but he couldn't care less. He's not here to make friends. He's here to challenge the narrative, expose the hypocrisy, and say what the rest of the media won't touch with a 10-foot pole. But here's the twist. The Democrats? They don't take criticism well. And when Stewart turned his scalpel toward Biden, they came after him. Hard. Guns blazing. Because the truth, especially when it comes from one of their own, cuts the deepest.
Quite frankly, the response to the first show last Monday was universally galling.
Jon Stewart is facing massive backlash from Democrats over his comments about Joe Biden. Oberman tweeted, "Well, after 9 years away, there's nothing else to say to the both side is fraud Jon Stewart bashing Biden except please make it another 9 years." Christy Jackson tweeted, "Sorry, but I won't be watching."
The left loves to brand itself as the defender of democracy, free speech, and open dialogue. But the second someone steps out of line, even one of their own, they're the first to bring out the pitchforks. It's the ultimate double standard. On paper, it's all about inclusivity and diversity of thought. In practice, that inclusivity ends the moment you question the script. Enter Jon Stewart. Once a progressive darling, now a frequent target of the very people who used to cheer him on. Why? Because he dares to question the orthodoxy. He dares to point out the contradictions, the absurdities, the performative wokeness that's infecting modern discourse. And for that, they've labeled him a traitor. That's how fragile the machine is. The message from the left is clear. Toe the line or face the backlash. Parrot the talking points or prepare to be cancelled. But Stewart refuses to play along. He's not in this for political brownie points. He's not looking for validation from cable news pundits or Twitter mobs. He's in it for the truth, and he's calling it exactly how he sees it, no matter who it offends. And that makes him dangerous to both sides. Because in an era where honesty gets you exiled, where independent thinking gets you vilified, voices like Jon Stewart's become increasingly rare and desperately needed. He's not a partisan. He's a truth teller. And when the mob tried to shout him down, he didn't back off. He doubled down. He went after Biden even harder. That's what integrity looks like. And that's why the establishment can't stand him.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
How did Biden do not talking?
And nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing.
Not great. Oh shit, we're back, baby! Abortion! A to the B to the O to the R to the T to the repeal of Roe v. Wade. That is Trump's weakest issue.
Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral.
Did you just immigration abortion?
Jon Stewart has been one of the rare liberals willing to call out President Biden's ineptitude without flinching. While most of the mainstream left circled the wagons and protected Biden at all costs, Stewart broke ranks, mocking the president's endless string of gaffes, contradictions, and baffling public appearances. And sure enough, the Democrats came for his head. The outrage machine kicked into gear, accusing Stewart of betrayal, of giving ammo to the other side. But he didn't flinch. He didn't apologize. He didn't walk it back. Because unlike many in his camp, Stewart still values honesty over blind allegiance. He understands that comedy isn't about protecting power, it's about speaking truth to it. And if that means calling out the flaws of a president you once supported, so be it. Stewart's commitment to intellectual honesty, even at the expense of his popularity with the left, is exactly what separates him from the echo chamber pundits posing as comedians today. It's risky, it's bold, and it's why his voice still matters.
For some reason, there is a persistent fiction within the Democratic Party that if they just hang out with Republicans in the gym or wait out Trump's popularity or give them concessions on a continuing resolution they said would harm the country, the Republicans will finally see the light. The Democrats will be rewarded with productive bipartisanship, or, as they put it,
this fever will break. All this excitement about Donald Trump, it's going to break.
So it is like a cult. The fever will break.
Is this the night the fever will break?
The chance to break the fever.
I believe at some point soon, the fever will break.
I think you're going to see the fever break.
President Obama saying, quote, "Now I believe when we're successful in this election, that the fever may break."
If someone's been running a fever since the aughts, that's not a fever. That is their default resting temperature.
The truth of the matter is this. Until the Democrats abandon their obsession with woke ideology, the so-called Trump fever isn't going anywhere. In fact, it's only gaining momentum. The more the left doubles down on identity politics, censorship, and performative virtue signaling, the more everyday Americans feel pushed away and pulled toward someone who, at the very least, speaks in plain, unapologetic terms. People gravitate toward Trump not because of blind loyalty, but because his policies, love them or hate them, are rooted in common sense, border security, energy independence, economic growth. He talks about real problems with practical, sometimes blunt, solutions. And in a world where everything feels over-politicized and deliberately complicated, that kind of clarity is refreshing. The longer Democrats ignore that reality, the longer Trump's appeal will endure. Until the left gets serious about real issues and stops catering to fringe narratives, they're just handing Trump, and candidates like him, more fuel to win over frustrated voters. In the end, the media's bias, the left's double standards, and the Democrats' obsession with woke politics are only driving more people toward voices like Trump and Stewart. Until truth trumps narrative, the shift to common sense and accountability will only grow louder and harder for the establishment to ignore. And that brings down the curtain on today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.